Hello and welcome to the Just Another Castle podcast. I'm your host Matt, and with me this week is our pro gamer Mike.
Banana Slam.
And our retro aficionado Unoclay.
I just had to play a little cut here. Backing it off. If you want to hear one of the greatest video game soundtracks I have heard in ages, this is not a joke. Go dial up yourself the soundtrack for the Smurfs video game for Game Boy Advance or Game Boy. I'm not sure which one it is. And you will have your mind blown. I was listening to a huge playlist of video game, music this past weekend, and a couple of tracks kept popping up, and I was doing something else while I was listening to it, and every time I'd look over and be like, what is this track? It was freaking the Smurfs. I'm not joking. It must have the greatest soundtrack of all time for like a GBA game. Yeah, surprise. So there's a little taste of it, but judge for yourselves, boys. How you doing?
That is an odd way to start, but I'll take it.
Wow,
Didn't expect that, that's for sure.
Yeah, the Smurfs. I know who would put the effort into making good chiptune music for the Smurfs, but apparently somebody did. Maybe it's like a known thing, but I don't know. So, how you guys doing?
Good.
Not bad. I hate the Smurfs. I hate when they're on Boomerang. I think they're a waste of time. It might have been one of the worst shows ever. But glad that they have one redeeming factor in all their creation.
Totally. Apparently somebody put the love into that. Like, I grew up watching the Smurfs, so those dudes were badass in the 80s, but I can hear you why you would hate them. It's a very repetitive cartoon. So
Scooby-Doo is way better. First off, all the knockoff Scooby-Doos are better as well. All right, Speed Buggy is way better, okay, than the Smurfs. Smurfs are trash. At least Tom and Jerry reruns are good. All right? Like, oh gosh, Clay, I feel bad that you watched the Smurfs. All right, at least watch the Flintstones, damn it.
This is not an argument I expected to start with.
Welcome
to the Nintendo podcast, right? Now listen, you should be watching Looney Tunes and Tom and Jerry.
Hanna-Barbera, right?
Yeah, they're all Hanna-Barbera. Freaking Top Cat, my boy, all right? Trying to con people down in the tri-state area, all right? Come on.
All right, and with that, I have no good segue, so let's get into our Game of All Times tournament.
By now you know the drill, but if you're some newbie just joining the show, at the start of the year, the four hosts of Just Another Castle each named our 8 favorite games of all time. Then, every week, 2 games go head-to-head, and the winner advances to the next round. In the end, 31 games will fall, and 1 game will rise above the rest to become Just Another Castle's official favorite game of all time. If you want to see the current brackets, head over to www.challenge.com/justanothercastle. That's challenge with an O. Also, sometimes our votes result in a tie, and you listeners can help settle the match. If you want to be part of the fun, follow Just Another Castle or the Mango Viking on Twitter, and you might get tagged to throw a tie-breaking vote. Leave luck to the heavens, and leave the pasta casserole to Matt's sister.
Oh, it's really cool. It's really cool.
Last week we did 2 rounds. It was Breath of the Wild versus Shadow of the Colossus and Super Mario World versus Mega Man 2. And both winners were Breath of the Wild and Super Mario World. So you got one thing in, Mike. You did your spiel at the end, so we'll save that.
Do people know my spiel? Do they need to know that I refused to vote in that first round of that?
Totally not because you showed up to the last second when we were leaving.
Yeah. I was boycotting the stream. I mean, the podcast, boys. All right.
All right. And this week we have 2 of Eli's games. So he's going to win regardless. Once again, it's a recurring theme of this tournament, apparently. It is Wind Waker versus The Last of Us, which I feel like I've done this already, but maybe it was just in my head. So,
that's how one-sided this matchup is.
So, I don't know, I guess I'll start, because I don't have too much to say. 3, 2, 1, go. I've played both. The Last of Us is decent gameplay-wise until about halfway through when you don't really need to manage your equipment, which I think was a lot of the appeal for it. The story was, I felt, just a basic, generic zombie story. Wind Waker, maybe not going crazy with story, but the game is a lot better. It's a lot more fun, action-oriented. You can sail wherever you want. And even if that gets boring after, a certain amount of time, it at least has some appeal for quite a while. And just the combat's more fun compared to like a basic shooter. So I'm giving it up to Wind Waker.
Giving it up to Wind Waker. Big bad. All right. Easy, succinct, straightforward.
Yep.
Drop
I didn't even prepare notes.
I mean, you want your notes, Matt? You can just go back to 2 years ago when Fleo was talking about how it's such a great game, and I would shit on it for 30 minutes every podcast, how shitty it was. That's your notes, because the game sucks. Okay, it's not fun. Okay. What Matt said was a great point too. Like the appeal of the game was you have to manage your shit. And guess what happened? Okay, halfway through it, there's more human survivors than there are zombies. Okay, and when you're doing this, all right, you're like, oh, I have 8,000 med kits and I have freaking like 400 bandages. Like, dude. It's not a survivor game at all. Halfway through, you're just a brutal murderer, okay, on a freaking fake wannabes like zombie game. Like, it's just not good. Like, I bought that shit day one at midnight. Okay, you know what happened? I beat it 3 days later, and it was the worst game I've ever played in my life. But the multiplayer wasn't that bad. That's the only reason why I remember I voted for one part of it. But it doesn't belong in anybody's game of all time. It doesn't even belong in any list near a game unless the list says top 10 waste of time / money game series or most overrated hype series. So for that, Wind Waker wins.
By process of elimination.
I mean, I like Wind Waker, especially. I mean, if I was gonna say something nice, I'd be like, dude, Wind Waker is amazing. I mean, I remember when I first got on my GameCube, but the other great part about Wind Waker was playing it on HD on the Wii U. I don't know, that was like the way to remake a game. Like, I don't know, it just got even better that way. So, like the speed sale, like literally changed the game from like a 9.5 to like a 9.8. So
nice. Yeah, you actually turned me on to the speed sale. It was many months ago, if not longer. Like that, I had heard of it and forgotten it. So when I was playing it without it, and that does. It's if people that are not super familiar with Wind Waker or maybe haven't played the remake or don't know what we're talking about, they added a feature, like completely just dropped a new feature in, which means you can sail way faster, and that is both a fun part of the game and then gets to be really old if you're once you get over hearing the same song, which is a really great song, and looking at the really great graphics, but you're doing it for hours on end in that game. So yeah, especially if you're replaying it, you don't really need to sail.
It's a big C.
Yeah, you don't want to constantly take out your little Wind Waker thing and play the same upright left, and you're like, oh my god, like I've done this a million times. Yeah. You know, like you stop like on a boat and it's just like upright left, and you got to specifically get your wind direction correctly sometimes because you overshoot. Like if you're looking for like a Triforce shard or something. Yeah. But when you're a kid, you don't mind. You know what I mean?
I mean, I played it as an adult, and I didn't mind because the game, there's something to be said for like the first time you do it. I mean, sure, it drags on a little bit, but it's like whatever, like it's still a great game. It's really beautiful. The soundtrack, it's a beautiful orchestral, theme, and that helped me because I played all the way through it, the first time on GameCube without that feature, but now, yeah. It makes it a lot more revisitable, so to speak. Remind the listeners, how do you get the speed sale? Because you had to tell me. You have to
go to like an auction, and I remember. Yeah. I don't remember exactly how to get it, but
it's on the first island you go to, though.
You have to go to an auction and do something. There's some other weird stipulation, and then you have to outbid it. It's not really easy to get. It's not like you go into a shop and buy it. There's like a weird workaround.
A lot of prereqs to it. Like I remember you had to do something for the lady at the school, and then past the school thing, like something else goes on. And
so Google it is what we're trying to say to the listeners.
It's really specific. Like I mean, I only really knew how to get it because like when it first ever came out, like I remember reading it on IGN, and I was like, oh, this seems pretty cool, and like I just remembered, but it was really tedious, but it's like not as tedious as we're making it out to be. It's just like a long list of steps, but it's like very simple thing.
And then you have to win that auction to get it, and you have to like be at the auction at the right time or something. I forget. But
I'm looking it up. You have to be there at night, which you either wait for or play a song. And then I didn't read the entire list, but there's a trick to win the auction based on like who places a bid
Yeah.
at what time, like at certain points. So
Yeah. So Google
it's
it,
a little
and
bit
you'll
annoying. Yeah.
game a lot more. Like you'll like so, but early on in the game, if you've never played it before, though, give it a chance. But you don't necessarily want to get the speed sail right away. You might enjoy just sailing around because that's part of the appeal, and it kind of gates you into certain areas of the sea, so to speak. Just because
I love the damn song too. The sea theme, da-da-na-na-na-na. Dude, I can listen to that forever. Okay.
So-
like honestly, when I remember first hearing that, I would just put my hand behind my back like I had a little rotor and just freaking do that shit all the time, man.
Set it in
All right, and then I
direction,
did that
go
with the
grab some
GBA
snacks.
connection. All right, but yeah. Last thing I was gonna say about it, the Wind Waker HD, they have the 100 floor challenge where you get the double damage mask, which I thought was really fun. But I just forgot since you guys reminded me by making me sing that theme. I used to connect my GBA and use the tingle thing to get the extra
nice.
map. Yeah, and you used to find out where like all the treasures are. Like, dude, it was really, it's just a great game in like every sense of the word.
There you
So
go. So Unoclay, I'm gonna guess that you're voting Wind Waker.
big surprise, fellas.
Yeah.
oh shit.
The guy who hasn't played The Last of Us isn't gonna vote The Last of Us. What a surprise!
I wish I would have played it. I do like a good zombie game here or there. In spite of what Mike's saying and what you're saying, that it's got some problems or whatever. I would have liked to try it when it was fresh, but that ship has sailed, and it has sailed in the direction of Zelda. See what it did there.
Mhm.
So
Nice.
Just
yeah.
play if you play any
A
zombie
boating
game, just
pun.
play like Call of Duty, like Black Ops or whatever the zombie modes in Call of Duty
Zombies.
games.
Oh,
They're
I
much
played
more
that.
fun.
Call of Duty Zombies.
I played that for sure. Yeah,
Yeah,
but I
those
mean,
are good.
I personally think Zelda Wind Waker is probably in my top 3 or 4 Zeldas of all time. And I say that only because there's so many good Zeldas that I'm hesitant. But I know for me, my short list, it would probably make the list above some ones that are probably more popular, including Ocarina. I'd probably say Wind Waker has held up better for me on some levels than Ocarina, but just because the art style is so awesome, part of it definitely appeals that way. So
That's fair. I've heard that a lot between people. I mean, they like somehow the cell shading. Remember when that first came out? Everyone's like, "Oh my gosh, this is the worst game ever." Look what they did to Link. Like I remember reading Nintendo Power, dude, and people were like flipping their shits.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's the word.
Cool.
That's the
All right.
word.
So Wind Waker is one. Goodbye, The Last of Us. Now we'll just get into some games we've been playing. Apparently, everyone's been playing a lot of games, myself
Yeah.
included. Well, I've only been playing one, which is Mega Man 11. I'm almost done.
Did you get it physical or digital?
Digital. 'Cause
I
I don't wanna pay
we
for
should share. We should share accounts then, buddy. So I can get it.
I'm-
All right, go on.
Don't get me started.
That's how it works. Yeah. Gosh,
If I
man,
can,
that's
I
how I
would.
got Splatoony. All right.
All right. Yeah, where am I going with this?
You're gonna Mega
I
Man
forget how I
11.
was gonna start. Anyway,
It's only
whatever.
average.
I've been playing Mega Man 11, and it's great, and it's what I expect, I guess. The only thing that kind of sucks is that the music isn't that great, which was kind of the same in Mega Man 10. There were like a couple of good tracks, but not so much across the board, especially compared to 9. And then 11 is, I don't know, kind of generic. Like, you're not really going to remember it. Like, you'll sing it while you're playing it, but not so much like anywhere else.
Oh, it's whack.
But
I was really that's a little disappointing. I've always loved Mega Man's music.
I know, it's so bad.
Ew.
Unfortunate. But I like it. It's pretty. Some of the levels are harder than others, and then again, well, I don't know if I can really say that because I usually end up buying lives after a certain amount of time. But there's some easier levels, I should say, some harder levels. I think they're pretty, like, when they're fair, they're still pretty fair with the difficulty, except for some of them you actually have to use like the powers. So you get like a speed booster and like a superpower ability. I didn't really use a power one so much. Actually, no, I use the power one when because you can use it with different items or your different boss weapons, which makes them useful. Otherwise, I just mash the button because I find it's quicker. But I don't know. I'm trying to play it without using any of the upgrades and stuff because I don't want to just make it cheap. Like there's somewhere it's like you slip less if you're on ice, or you take less damage, or you this or that. And like, I don't know, I guess it's nice that they have it there for those people, but I'm just like, I'm gonna buy none of these things because I want to keep it somewhat, original. The only things I bought were like the health drops are a little bit more generous. And I forget, and another one is like if you pick up a weapon energy, it applies to all of them, because that running out of that can just be annoying more than anything else. But I don't know, I'm having fun with it. The levels are a lot longer. Checkpoints can be a bit weird. Sometimes they're like just after a really difficult part, so you have to rebeat like the whole section just to get to the checkpoint. But I guess that's fair for Mega Man. But
Nice.
yeah, I don't know.
Worth the money.
Yeah, I think it's a little bit expensive. It's like, I guess, $30 US, which seems a bit much. But the levels are longer, and it has like a challenge mode or whatever I haven't gotten to, but it's still great. If you like Mega Man, you should like this. If you don't want to use like the other powers because you feel it's kind of cheap, or you want to keep it as classic or whatever as possible, you can do that for the most part. The only time I felt like you actually needed it versus just like this is a helpful tool to use is like Torchman stage, where there's something like a Wily machine, or there's a wall of flame coming from the left side pushing over to the right, and obviously if you touch it you automatically die. But there's a lot of different paths you have to go through, and enemies that'll like stop you in your tracks and that you can't just jump over, and getting through that can be really difficult without using like speed, because the wall will just catch up to you and you'll just die. So that was like the only time I felt like you really needed it. Otherwise, I think it's just like it's still useful, obviously, but you can do a lot of the things without it anyway.
Can you explain what you mean exactly? I may have missed something, but like, what do you mean the special powers? Because this sounds like something I would turn off. You know me,
Sure.
I'd be like, no.
So new to this game is you have two different like gear abilities. One is you press it and your shots are more powerful for like, I don't know, a couple of seconds. You have like this meter, and if you overheat your meter, then your main weapon will just do less damage. So there's like a cooldown effect for that too if you use it too much. And then the speed one is everything will slow down, so you'll have like more time to react to something.
Yeah.
And you'll also move slowly unless you get like an extra ability where you'll actually move at regular speed while you're slowing down, which I did buy for like Torchman section because it was just like insane even with it. But
so
those are the main abilities or new abilities compared to like the boss weapons.
And do you feel like they're like, I'm trying to fish for the right way to say this, like, because the fact that you suggested turning them off makes me feel like you might view them as sort of cheats, or like maybe like handicaps or whatever. Like, do they feel kind of unnaturally like a little too easy or something? Because the way it's just odd, like that you're saying, oh well, you might want to turn these off or whatever, and I'm thinking, wait, are they, you know what I mean? How do they fit into the game, or does it feel like they're kind of unnatural for Mega Man or something?
I don't know. I've heard other people say like it doesn't really make sense that Mega Man has like the most powerful abilities right from the get-go, because then it's like, what are the boss powers for? So I can see that argument, which is fair. I don't know. I'd put it out there like for purists who probably want to do like classic runs where they don't have this, they don't use too many of the upgrades and whatnot. But
right,
I don't know. I tried not using it where I could get away, where I knew I could like get away with it, because I felt like if I did, it would be kind of cheap, even though I did use upgrades in other sections anyway. So I'm probably a hypocrite there. But I don't know. I don't know if it would be too cheap if I used it more generously throughout.
Right on. I got you.
I don't know. Yeah.
I find it interesting what you're describing because like you guys know me pretty well, and like a game like this, if I was going into it, I'd probably like, yeah, you're exactly like getting it right. I'd be like, yeah, I want the purest experience or whatever. Like I don't want to start out OP as Mega Man. That breaks the game to me. I'm like, yeah, the whole point is to like bang your head against the wall till you figure out what boss to go after first or whatever, But if you're not going to have fun doing that either, we talked about that like last show where Eli was saying he's not really into games that are just going to like brutalize him for hours. He wants to play the game and get through it. And if it makes it more fun, then hopefully it's a good balance, like you're saying, if you can just like turn it off or ignore it or whatever. So
yeah, for the most part, you can ignore it.
It's fine, Clay, if you like to be brutalized for hours at a time. I'm just saying that's okay.
Got him.
Tell me more. Whip me. What?
Classic Clay in his BDSM games. Right?
Oh my God.
BDSM Mega Man. BDSM. Nice. Great stuff. That's cool, man.
Okay.
Well, good to hear it. I'm gonna play it eventually. And I will certainly turn off all these soft pillows and go for the hard whips and chains of the Mega Man when I play it. So
I think it's like a nice addition because there were sections where it's like, okay, you know what? I know I've gotten past this part before, and I don't really feel like trying to do it again and then fail and have to restart. So I'll use it like for this 3 seconds, so I can just like make this one part that I keep screwing up at. Like one of them is disappearing blocks, and I could get past it for the most part, but sometimes like the first one, because of enemies and whatnot, it was just like annoying, and I would like some of the times just screw up, and I'm like, you know what? I've done this before in this level. I just want to get past this one part so I can get to the other part of the stage already, just to like save me some time and some headache. But yeah, if you haven't really played too much Mega Man, I'd say this is one of the most not lenient, but like newcomer friendly, because there's also an easy mode, which I don't know what the heck that does, but there's a lot of upgrades that you can customize and make it easier or even harder, depending on how you want to play. So it's not just everything is fixed. It's you can pick and choose. But yeah, that's what I've been playing this week. Eli, you've come on the show. You missed the Game of All Times tournament, but you won anyway. You won with the Wind Waker, which should come as no surprise.
Well, it's fine. Both were my games, but the game that I would have voted for ultimately won, so I'm not like that butthurt about it.
Yeah, I would imagine not.
I like turned on Skype and it's like time to update, and I was like, why? Why are you
You're like,
I
oh
just
no,
keep
I missed
skipping
making it a 4-0. Oh no, it's a shame. All right.
Yep. So, Eli, what have you been playing this week?
Well, I've had a busy week. It's actually starting to calm down a little bit, so hopefully in the next few weeks I'll actually have time to play more games.
Nice.
But the big thing has been more Spider-Man. I'm getting towards the end, I think. I mean, a lot of the same thoughts as before. I think it's a really solid game. I think the beat-em-up stuff can get a little bit tiresome for some people because it's just pretty repetitive, but overall, I'm having a blast playing through it. I think it's a nice game where I can come home to. I only have like half an hour to play, and I'll play through one mission and beat people up. So, I think it's a solid recommend. Other than that, I haven't really been playing much, just because of how busy. But I'm looking forward. I got A Way Out. I kind of started playing it a little bit with my girlfriend a little while ago, because that's like a 2-player game. And after Spider-Man, I promised my girlfriend we'd come back to that and play through it.
Nice.
But I feel like she's not here right now, but maybe at one point I'll pull her in for 2 minutes because she asked, I'd always play all these single-player games, and she got tired of watching, and she's like, well, your 3DS is just laying in the corner not being used. Could I, have your 3DS? And I'm like, sure, you can use it for as long as you want. So she's been like carrying it around with her playing it. And, I gave her a choice of games that I had. Most of my games are back home, but out of the ones that I have here, and she chose to start playing the Pikmin game. Gosh, I wrote it's called.
Hey Pikmin.
Yeah, Hey Pikmin.
The one you bought for like $3 or whatever.
Yeah, I got it. I
man.
remember I got it for like $3. I never actually played it because I didn't have time, and apparently it was a great game. But she's been playing through it, and it was I got it for like, I think it was actually like $6, but still. But she's been playing through that slowly, and she gets frustrated sometimes. And at one point, like she's very much like very stubborn, and so she was you know, at one part where she couldn't figure it out, and she was there for like 20 minutes, like at this one part of the level on the second world, couldn't figure it out. And I'm like, honestly, Mason, just look it up, just go online. Like if I were in your position right now, I'd totally just go on YouTube because it's just not that great. You know, if it's a game worth like figuring out, but in this case, you know, Hey Pikmin's not that great of a game. Sorry, Nintendo. Just don't think that you should spend all that much time trying to invest into it, figuring it out. But she's like, no, I'm gonna figure it out on my own. So proud of her for that, and maybe we'll have her talk about that game a little bit, since I don't know if any of us have actually played it. I don't remember.
No.
I think you're really mean to make her play that game. Like, come on, we all know that's not a real Pikmin game. Like, come on. Like,
No, yeah, Pikmin's trash. At least you gave her that. Than, you know, real Pikmin.
Don't make me kick you off.
I did give her an option at games, and I think her things like she started a game and now she like feels uncomfortable like going to another one until she's done with it. So, you know, I gave her, I probably have, you know, 20 games downloaded digitally, and then maybe another 15 physical ones here at college. So I'm like, honestly, I think you're really going to like Ace Attorney. But she's like, I want to finish this one first, then I'll play that. But I think she would actually really enjoy Ace Attorney.
Nice. Coming out for the PlayStation. You can play all 3 on console now, alright? What the kids wanted.
Nice. Well, cool.
right on. Nice. Good stuff.
Yeah, Ace Attorney or the Phoenix Wright series seems like a pretty easy game to get someone to jump into, because figuring out puzzles mostly.
Nice, dude. Cool.
So,
Well, that's neat.
yeah. Mike, what have you been playing?
Well, I finally finished Xenoblade Chronicles 2. Alright. So you can thank me later, boys. But I took my 75 hours. Oh, it was garbage like the first Xenoblade. Don't worry. Just as bad. Maybe worse. But
Mike's the only person I know who's like, I'm gonna buy this game because I know I hate it, and then for like 20 hours or 30 hours and be like, I still hate it, and then play another 30 to 40 hours.
Hey, I mean, come on, I put my time into it. Someone's gotta finish it, all right? I mean,
Mike, who's in the BDSM again?
not me.
Are you sure it's Unoclay?
I'm a completionist and superior being, okay? Unlike that Clay fella, alright? I'm just saying.
You're the definition of masochist. That important.
Alright? Like when it comes to me, it's like, damn, there's that Michael grinding through again and succeeding and winning. Alright, then it's like Clay, man, there's no end game in this. Why are you torturing yourself? And it's like, it's all good in the hood, brother. There's Amish people 40 miles above me.
Most people play games for fun, and Mike just plays games so like because he hates them.
He wants to have experience to say that he hates a game to someone else. He'll be like, you don't hate it, you never played it. You're like, lady, I platinumed that thing. I have more experience.
Lady, I have the better opinion, okay?
Yeah.
When people
Like,
see my opinion, they know, okay? So, Xenoblade, 76 hours I put into it. I enjoyed like maybe hours 50 to 62 because like I like went insane or just like I just couldn't take it anymore, and I was like, I remember I was in the beginning forever because it was just so word lengthy and just so big and boring, and I'm like, whatever, I'll come back to this game. This game trash Ola. So I played some other trash games during that time period, like Gravity Rush 2, and I platinumed that. And so then I came back and I was like, yo, F this. I might put this game in easy because I don't give a shit. And I was like, no, I can't stoop that low. So I did a million side quests, and I just turned out to be over-leveled the entire game, and I just ran through the entire game. And good thing the Japanese language update came out, so I was able to play that game in that. The English dub is just so terrible. It's like looking at like an 80s Japanese movie. Like they'll just be talking, and like nothing will come out. I'm like, what is this? All right, so recommendation out of recommendation, none. All right, get it if you want to be bored or if you think Xenoblade's a good game, because it's not. Next game I played and beat took me 8 hours to 100% of the game. I think 8 hours, maybe 7. Somebody go on your Switch right now and check how long I played Kirby Star Allies. I opened it up. No, I bought it in September. I opened it up. What day is today? 10:15. I opened it up 10:12 at midnight, so technically 10:13. Played an hour, beat the first 3 levels, went to sleep, woke up, beat the whole game. And yesterday I beat all the side missions. It's not side missions, it's just extra modes. And then today, after I got hired from the evil corporation, I beat boss mode and I got 100%. So about 5 hours gameplay, 6 hours gameplay. Now that was a fun game though. I wish I played it with my brother, but he's like, I don't want to spoil it for myself because he likes Kirby and he wants to play it. And so I had to play it alone, like a loser. Okay.
That's why they give you friends in the game.
Yeah, I
For
had to
all
play
you
with
lonely
the, By
people.
the way, the AIs are the smartest AIs I've ever played with in my life. Okay.
Or the
Like,
enemy AI is just the dumbest.
yeah, no, dude, like you'll walk over pits and
Yeah.
lavas and Gordos, and like the AI, they'll be dodging that shit actually, or jumping over stuff, and like, I'm like, wow, not bad, not bad. Kirby Star Allies is 8.5 out of 10 if you love Kirby and or you love the series of Kirby. It has so many odes and like, we love Kirby, here's all this shit. Like
Mhm.
it has so much stuff from like past series, like they try to like what's the word I'm looking for when they're gonna give props and recommendation when they're gonna give
Casual trash.
no that's you, Clay. Now, but
Like a cameo or an homage or something like that.
an
I forget the
homage.
actual
That's
word.
it. That's what I'm looking for. Yeah. So like the whole game is just basically like an homage to like the series, which is really cool. Say Clay, sorry for the burn. I don't think you're catching this guy. Sorry.
I'm
You're
just
one of the more
talking-
hardcore guys I know, but it's great though you say it.
I'm like you're hating on Xenoblade, and then you're like, yeah, but Kirby, the game that you can just press right and win. Like, I love it. It's amazing.
I beat Inferno Spicy Boss Mode. I don't see people getting 100%.
Well, with
So-
Kirby, did you play? I forget what the mode is called, but you can play as one of the enemies and some of the allies. And they made an update.
that's guest mode. So you play. It's
Yeah.
basically the whole game without Kirby. So
Yeah,
if you
it's
play
like a speed run. If
if you play Kirby Planet Robobot, it's essentially the Meta Knight mode, but as
Yeah.
the characters and friends.
if you play as some of the allies, I forget which ones, but in one of the updates, if you play it, then as these specific characters, they'll have like different levels from like the games they were in. So one of them is like a Kirby 64 level, and one was like I think a Squeak Squad level, or no, that the rat.
No,
isn't
Squeak
it.
Squad's
But
in it.
I
Squeak Squad's
forget.
in it.
I forget. There's some levels that they added in like to that mode at like the end of those with specific characters, which is cool. I haven't gotten to it because it takes like an hour to get through it, and I don't know if I want to like rush through the same thing again. But that's pretty cool that they put them in anyway.
Yeah. They added what? They added a Denoline and Ribbon from 64. They added my boy Rick and the other 2 animals I don't really care about from Dreamland. They had Dark Meta Knight from Kirby's Best Game, Amazing Mirror. They had the Squeak Squad Rodent. You go play as all these characters that I'm listing. That's the only reason why I remember. They have the Goo or Blob or whatever his name is.
Oh,
if
yeah.
anybody... Yeah, I still don't know what he's from, but
Dreamland 3.
that's it. Okay, and like 2 other guys. You can only play as them if you're 2nd, 3rd, or 4th player. Like I said, the AIs are really good. They'll never kill themselves. They jump over. They fight all the time. Like there's a lot of like combination powers in this game, but not combination in the way of Kirby 64. The music wasn't as good as Planet Robobot. But I think the guest bosses and a lot of the homages just make it like a good game. But it's not as good as the 3DS Kirby's, to be honest.
No.
If it's on sale for $30, buy it, or 40 max. Other than that, don't pay full price for it. That's the only thing I really have to say about that. But I did enjoy it. I do recommend for Matt. I highly recommend. For everyone else, just get it if you want.
Yeah, it's okay.
I also have Super Mario Party. I play that almost every night with my boys.
Nice.
Yeah, it's not as good as Mario Party 1 through 4. It's on the level of 5, 6, and 7. So that makes it 2nd tier. If anybody doesn't really know my list, which I was going to make a YouTube video about anyway. Yeah, it's just not as good as the OG. It's very, I want to say it's very slow paced. It's a lot more user friendly. It's not like, hey, let's play Mario Party, and then I'll get like, a million platforming mini games and I'll destroy you guys. And then be like, man, that's not fair. I'll be like, well, is what it is. Like it has a lot more. It has a few motion-based games. It has a lot of puzzle games. I played every mode in it. I played the motion dance beat mode. They have their own like
Oh
if
man, I would
you
have loved
follow
to
the
see
beat
that.
thing. Yeah, they have a DDR mode thing. It's really fun. They have the 4-player co-op raft thing, which is not as fun in my opinion. I hate really playing with people. I rather just win. So like that sucks.
That statement just alone by itself is really good. I really hate playing with people. I just want to win. That's it.
I mean, you can win some of the games, and it's like co-op together. Like I played partner mode as well. Me and Phil beat Joey and Ortiz. That's just it's SRPG, tactical RPG Mario Party. So in that mode, you roll, you combo, like your rolls combo. They like combine into one big thing, and then you have to literally move your character per grid. It stops at each thing. So you're playing Fire Emblem Tactical RPG Mario Party in the partner mode, and to get a star, you actually have to land on the spot. So sometimes you could square around the same 4 places you went to, and then go down to 3 to hit the star. It's really funny. It's a unique take on it, but the best mode is it's just regular board game stuff. I haven't unlocked all the characters. I don't really even know how. I do like the secret mini games they had in it. There's only 3 of them. They usually do that in every game. Like Mario Party 5 has the hockey and volleyball. This game has a baseball, the tank one, and one other one. Everyone knows about the tank one, but it's like in a hidden warp pipe essentially. And I really like it. I don't like how slow paced it is. It's way slower than the OG Mario Parties. But I try to bust it out whenever I can. It's too fun of a game. So I'm Mario Party's back.
Nice.
Game of the year. Yeah.
Yeah, I've heard some mixed things from different people. Some not liking certain aspects, others saying it's really great. As far as I've seen, I think the mini games are probably like a lot of fun, but the modes are probably going to be where it where
it's just so
I'm
slow,
not sure because I haven't.
It's like you go into the game like everybody knows the rules, but like you can't fast scroll the text. Everything's half price. There's nothing really bad, so it's like you can roll max 6 and you have to combo other stuff. It's just like it doesn't feel as big and as fast as old Mario parties, which is obviously that's a problem. And you can't use your Pro controller or use it in handheld mode, which the point of the game is to play multiplayer. But it's like, why can't I use my Pro controller? That has motion control too. But I guess they didn't want Nintendo to be like, well, second player has a full controller. Meanwhile, I'm playing with one Joy-Con.
Yeah, I don't really like the idea of using the Joy-Con because it's like so small.
Yeah, but honestly, there's no platforming games. No, I mean, I always use the good left Joy-Con when I play because I'm a scumbag. But nah, man. I mean, like I said, I've played 4-player almost every time I've played it, and Joey and Phil, I usually cuck them and give them the right Joy-Con. And I mean, Joey's got huge hands. He's like 6'3", so I mean, like his hand is like the size of the entire Switch.
Yeah, I was gonna say his thumb is like the whole Joy-Con. You're like, how am I supposed to press 1?
Yeah, but he's fine with it, man. So like, we might be like overthinking it a bit. Besides, you own your own Switch, so you could always use the left Joy-Con and it's normal mode.
I will.
Like, you're good. You're good, man. Anyway. Yeah, but yeah. That's about it. I mean, I really like it. I totally recommend it. I might be a little bit Mario Party biased, or maybe because I've always played only with friends. Like I haven't played a CPU game. I've only played with 4 humans. But no, I did play one CPU once. Ortiz left. And we actually like quit out. We're like, oh, let's do a whole game. Very hard in that mode is like easy mode CPU. Like he was literally like ruining my game. Like he would like block me. And I'm like, bro, we're on the same team, and like he would block me. All right, so like there is no more very hard Mario Party like AIs. Like very hard Mario Party guy is like a normal at best. So that's about it.
Well, cool. Yeah, I'm excited to play it eventually.
Yeah. I mean, dude, when you're in New York visiting me, bro, we'll get a party going. All right? Bring Clay.
Nice. Yeah, come on.
This is a funny episode to like listen to the other people's games that you're talking about, because it's like pretty much like games I'm probably never gonna play. And this is like almost fun as part of the panel, because I'm like, it's more usually the history been like, because of Wii U having so few games, most of us like knowing the same games, and it's a good chance. And this is like, I'm like, yeah, never playing Kirby, so the best fun I'm gonna have out of it is like hearing about it from Mike. And Mario Party, it's really unlikely I'm ever gonna play it. I don't hate that series or anything like that, but it's not something I'm likely to buy, you know. And I'm like, it's cool to hear it's good, you know. I mean, it's the kind of thing, like, if I expected Nintendo to ever discount it, I'd say, yeah, maybe I'll get it on discount sometime and play it with my friends. But you know, it's never going to be. Brawl for Wii is still $50 at GameStop, unless I'm wrong. Mike, tell me if I'm wrong. You know?
I don't know. I'll tell you next Sunday. I'll look it up on the systems, man.
But you know, it's like I'm just never going to probably play it because I'm like, it's not like I think it should be cheaper. It's just I'm not really like probably the market for it. You know, like it's just I got too many other things to play. You know, but
Oh, fair, dude. I mean, the only good thing about me being at GameStop was I saw Cave Story Plus, and I was like, oh yeah, I gotta get that game. Yeah.
Nice,
so that's the next game on my list, actually. So.
I've been having an itch actually for that game. I beat it twice at least already, if not 3 times, plus the Super Hell mode. And like, I have been having the itch lately to almost buy it myself. Like, where I'm like, I love that game so much, I want to buy it. Like
I wanted to get it for the 3DS, and like, cause my boy, that was like one of the first 3DS games. I was like, no, I gotta do like myself the favor and get Cave Story Plus. Like, I have to.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So.
Yeah, it's got 2-player mode in it, which is the first time ever. So like, that's my excuse of why I'm gonna buy it again at some point, so I can play it with somebody else, like just for fun and see. Even though it might break the game and make it too easy, but like, I mean. At least I could maybe finish Hell, because the secret Hell mode, like, you'll find out. Like, you haven't played it before, right?
No, I actually never have ever.
Yeah,
like,
I've
always.
There's a final board. The super. It's not even a spoiler, but there's a super hidden board, like almost like Star Road like type thing.
Oh, nice.
At the end, that is so fucking hard that even though I've played the game through at least 2 times, 100%, you know, all the way beginning to end, I couldn't finish it. Like, I tried and I tried and I tried, and it is brutal. And you're just like, yeah, you'll see what I mean. You'll find out. But is it
roguelike or is it Metroidvania? What is it?
It's a Metroidvania.
Okay,
it's a Metroidvania. Okay. Yeah, it's a true game with a true story and a true layout and a true ending. And I won't spoil anything. There are very, very small things you can do in the game to change the game. But they're very small, and after you finish it the first time, you're gonna have to look them up to find out, because they're way too impossible to like guess. It's classic, like.
Oh, I love that. That's OG.
It's classic, OG like Nintendo, where it's like, only if you totally did some random shit would you ever see these other things in the game, you know, type of thing, you know, like. But
and the worst part is when you ever look at a screenshot like that and you're like, how did I miss that? Like, it was right there.
Yeah. Well, you missed it because you didn't carry this item to this specific spot and stand there, you know, whatever, you know, that kind of thing. So.
Oh, before we go on, just remind me, Matt, best character in Kirby Star Allies is Dark Meta Knight, by the way. So like, if you're gonna pick a character, like, you pick Dark Meta Knight. Like, his guard doesn't break. Like, he has like super good range. Like, he's just too good. But yeah, all right. I just remembered. I was like, you pick Dark Meta Knight and then Meta Knight if you're ever gonna pick a character.
Cool. So what games have you been playing this week, Unoclay?
Yeah, I finished. I've 2 podcasts I spent talking a lot about Gungeon, so I'm not going to talk the listeners' ears off. But Enter the Gungeon on Switch. It's a indie darling kind of game. I'm obsessed with it. I've played about 60 hours of it now, and it's like it's just like crack to me. I just like I like literally have to fight the urge to play it when I should be working and stuff.
It's your next Binding of Isaac.
And it's my friend asked me that if I like it better than Isaac, and like I think they're fundamentally different, and he laughed at that statement because they're both in the same genre. And I said, it's like Mario and Rayman. They're not the same. Like, they are the same genre, but they're not the same game in a lot of ways. And then in other ways, they're very similar because they're the same genre. But I don't want to get into all that because I could talk forever about it. And I don't want to spoil it for anyone who wants to try Gungeon, but it's one of the most brutal, abusive, trolly games ever, where it is so hard. It makes you almost throw your Switch sometimes. You're so angry at it. And then you're just literally a minute later, I'm like, all right, one more game. All right, one more game, even though I'm furious. Like, I'm furious at the game. Like, I cannot believe it was so mean. I am not completely unconvinced the game isn't intentionally mean sometimes, where you'll be, for instance, having a really good game, and it is a procedurally generated roguelike game that, you know, the mazes are different every time. You'll be having this incredible game, your stats are really high, and it'll just throw like 5 or 6 like boss level characters at you in a row just to piss you off, just because you've been having a good game. Like, I'm not convinced it doesn't do that. Like,
I wouldn't
it's
be
like
surprised
making
if
fun
that's
of you.
programmed in there, like
Exactly.
those rigged arcade games. Where like, oh,
Yeah.
it'll only work if we set it to this many games. It'll win a prize or whatever. It's like we're gonna screw up 1% of the time.
It very well could, because the game in fact includes like trade-offs where you can get cursed. You can allow your character to be cursed, which will like lower your stats in some ways, but it'll boost your stats in other ways. And it's like, so the game has logic like that in it, where it's like penalizing you at the same time as you're getting rewarded. So, but anyway, I beat the game. I could not believe it. My palms were like sweating. Like when you had a classic boss fight, when you're like worried while you're fighting because you can feel your hand slipping off the controller because you're sweating so hard. I had that moment. I literally almost like my thumbs were slipping off the sticks like that. I'm like in the middle of the fight, and it's not the kind of thing where you're going to pause it. That isn't going to do you any favors. It's like there are 9,000 bullets on the screen. You pause this, you're just asking for it. Like as soon as you come back from the pause screen,
like,
dead.
oh, where's everything? Oh, in my face.
Yep. I used to get that in Mega Man X, man, during boss fights.
You got to be in the zone. It's like one of those classic feelings where you got to be in the zone. You got to do it. I beat the game, and all I can say is that I didn't fully beat it. It's the kind of game that it's like both an ending and then throwing it in your face and being like, "Oh, you think you won, huh? Like, well, how about this?" And you're like, "You fucking game. You fucking game." You just are like, like, you know, like, and then like 20 minutes later, you're like, I think I could play it another. I think I could load it up again and play some more. You know, like, you know, like, and it's so it is a true classic NES type experience, because it really, I could have finished it a long time ago. I'll say this because I'm searching for a hidden aspect of the game now in order to fully finish, and I don't know where it is. And it's like kind of the thing. Google 7 seconds, I got the answer. I don't want to, because that's part of the challenge. It's like getting things from you now actively, and it's kind of let you know. Yeah, I'm trying to avoid spoilers, you know, like for anyone listening. Like, but it's like it's kind of let you know it's hiding things from you, and it's like, oh, now I got to play it again, and I got to be hunting, and I got to be doing this other stuff that I don't. And I at this point, I'm really, really, really near the end. Anyone who's listening who kind of knows what I'm talking about, I've completed 3 of the 4 things you need to do to really get the true ending, but I don't know what the 4th thing is. And so now I am literally just playing the game with no idea what I'm doing. Like, you're just like, it's a very unusual experience where I'm like, okay, I'm just gonna load up the game and fuck around and fight enemies and try to like just experiment, almost like waste weapons, waste items, like do different things other than just try and survive, you know. And so yeah, I love the game. It's one of my, it's definitely my most fun I've had with a video game this year. I can probably say that truthfully, because it suits me very well. In other news, besides Gungeon, I was playing a little bit of old NES. I played an old NES game for the old heads in the audience called Wrath of the Black Manta, and it is a classic ninja game, a little bit like Shinobi, a little bit like Ninja Gaiden, but not really. Gaiden.
Oh, dude, have you heard about The Messenger? Or
I've heard of it, and it's Switch, right?
Yeah. I heard that's like old Ninja Gaiden.
Yeah, I think I did see that, and it looked kind of interesting to me. This is like the Wrath of the Black Manta, the one I've been playing, is a little bit more like games that some people would remember called Rolling Thunder and Shinobi, but like it's part of that like 1980s ninja craze. You guys would have been like nothing but little sparkles in your parents' eyes back then. But let me tell you, there's nothing hotter than ninjas, and if there was something hotter than ninjas, it was dinosaurs. And other than that, I don't know.
You
like,
sound like Dan Avedon of Game Grumps, man. That's all he talks about too. He goes, "All I love is freaking Ninja Gaiden, and I love dinosaurs, man. Besides rock." And I'm like, I know this guy.
It was the 80s, man, and we love stuff like that. I mean, the Ninja Turtles are probably the biggest surviving remnant of that period, but there were plenty more. And all you had to do was put a ninja on a box, and you had like millions of little teenage little boys like were lining up to buy your game. It didn't matter if it was good or not. It's got a ninja. I want it. And you know, this game's all right. It's it's an old NES game. You know, if it's by Taito, who are known for making some decent games on NES. I don't have much to say about it. If you're, it's fun. It's really difficult. If you're looking for an old NES game to try out, and you're hungry for a little bit of throwing star and like fire wheel action, you know, you could do worse. It's one of its main appeals, maybe for a modern audience, and I'll wrap up on this. Like, would be that it's got completely campy, awful dialogue that games like Shovel Knight and stuff now try to make fun of. But this is completely legitimate. Like, literally, in one of the cutscenes, you rescue some boy who's been held hostage by ninjas, and instead of saying something normal in the cutscene, remember, this is completely real. This game isn't a parody. You rescue this little boy, and the ninja says, "You're not using drugs, are you? Because drugs are bad."
That's so 80s, dude.
It's so funny. You can't. You feel like it must be a parody. You're like, this has got to be kidding, right? And he's like,
Yo, winners don't do drugs, man. All right, the FDA approved those federal approved video arcade games, man.
Like in the game. These guys
Yeah.
just talking about this, and you're like, what is going on? Like, I thought I'm rescuing people, not lecturing them. You know, it's like, all right, you know, like all right, drugs are bad. Drugs are bad. So, yeah. So yeah, Wrath of the Black Manta. It's not terrible. It's kind of, if you're looking for that campy, cute, you know, kind of NES style thing, you could do worse. That's my review. So check it out. Or don't.
Cool.
Ninjas.
Wrath of Black Manta. You could do worse.
You
Back
could
of the
do
box
worse
closed.
than being a yeah. You could do worse than doing drugs with a ninja. You could do worse.
Yeah. Something I forgot to mention that I'll bring up briefly is when I was playing Mega Man, I actually used my SNES controller because that was like, I think I bought it before I knew Mega Man was coming out. I forget if it was before or after. No, it was before because I bought it as a Christmas gift or whatever. But I was like, I'll use this for, you know, some classic games. And then Mega Man was announced. I'm like, I'm using this for this, and it works really well. The only thing you can't do is cycle through the boss powers unless you like go to the menu, which isn't really that big of a deal. Personally, I find it better to do that anyway, so you're not like trying to avoid something and then switch to another weapon on the fly. I don't think this is really the game where you really need to. Like, you're not really going to switch through the weapons that quickly anyway. But it feels great on it. The buttons are also bigger than the chiclets on the Switch. So yeah, it's great. And you can customize the controls in Mega Man 11. So if you're going from one control scheme to another, then you can just change it up, which I did.
Let me ask you that, like, because I haven't watched any videos of Mega Man 11 because I do plan on playing it. Like, part of classic Mega Man 1 through 6 is, frankly, the somewhat annoying menu interface that you always have to be clicking into a menu to change your powers. Have they updated that you can cycle your weapons in like a more a faster way without going to a sub menu, or do you still have to do that? Like,
there's actually like 3 different ways. I'll try to keep it brief. You can either pause it and go through it that way, and it's just like a linear list. So that's an easier way to do it. You can use the shoulder buttons. So because the SNES doesn't have 2 pairs of shoulder buttons, it can't do this. But with anything else, the like Z, L, and ZR buttons you can use to cycle through them left and right. And then on the right joystick, you can turn on the ability to cycle through it like a weapon wheel. So if you try to move the right joystick, you'll see like a grid above Mega Man's head or around him in like the boss shape pattern, like the 9x9 grid or 3x3 grid, and you can just like rotate through it that way. So you can select whatever one you want. So I think that's cool.
Thing. Yeah, that is the only thing that sometimes playing old Mega Man games can wear you out as a modern gamer. You're like, the endless menu, the endless jumping into the. Actually, I wonder, did the Legacy Collection change that? Can you also do like a weapon wheel in Legacy Collections or shoulder buttons? I wonder.
I don't know.
Wait, so I thought shoulder. You know why? Because I started playing Mega Man at 8. I'm like, shoulder buttons has always been the Mega Man thing, man. You know, but like, yeah, OG Mega Man dropped that menu each time. But I don't know. I was actually interested in getting the Legacy Collections because like I just wanted to play like every Mega Man again. So I'll let you know if I do pick it up if that's a viable option.
that's like one of those improvements that like to me as a purist I can almost live with, because it doesn't change the game's mechanics in any way. Well, it does a little bit. You could actually just
you can avoid it if you want.
Yeah,
so
you can avoid
as
it.
long as you can avoid something, then it doesn't really matter.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, it's not forcing on you. The difference would be that like if you could cycle your weapons faster in classic Mega Man, like
Mecha Man.
you would use them more, and that would make you better, because it's just you know what I mean, Matt. It's like a pain in the butt to like pull up that menu. So a lot of times you just stay on the weapon you're on just because you don't feel like it. You're just like I'll just stay with the regular blaster, like rather than cycle all the time. That's interesting. Yeah, I haven't thought about that for a long time. I have Mega Man 5 and 6 sitting here unplayed in my shelf of trophies that I'm saving up for someday, or whatever. But I think they retain that classic menu format on those ones too.
So yeah, that's what we've been playing. We'll move on to some small announcements. So one thing is actually Unoclay found this out because he found out that you can buy Wii U gamepad batteries from Nintendo for $21. That includes shipping, at least for the United States. So if you're worried about your gamepad breaking down the road, you can buy a battery and I assume replace it with a regular screwdriver yourself. I don't know if they use specific screwdrivers or whatnot. I know some things do, but I'm sure you can find
Yeah, it does not. It's meant to be done yourself. Like so you can open it up and like I was saying to Matt on the chat about this issue. This is for you, Mike. This is for anyone else out there who's sitting on your Wii U. I know it seems crazy to think now. I know, but hear me out. Someday your Wii U might be mad valuable, but you know what'll make it not valuable? If that battery's dead in it. Like, and the people that have the fresh batteries, your system is going to be worth more. And this is one of Nintendo's worst selling consoles of all time. And that I've just lived long enough to see Virtual Boy go from being like a throwaway item to being like, if you want a working Virtual Boy, your people are paying upwards of $300 for a perfect mint Virtual Boy and stuff like that. So take it from me, spend the $21, put it in the closet. Like, I'm not even installing the one I bought. I'm putting it away in the Wii U box so that someday when that gamepad dies, I have a backup. I don't know if it'll last forever. I'm not making any promises there, but $21 to make sure, if you're planning on keeping your Wii U forever, buy it now, because eventually they're going to discontinue that and you're not going to be able to pick one up. You're going to be like, wait, what do I do? And, I don't know. It could end up being a non-issue. Maybe someone will make a secondary battery for it, but Wii U was not popular, as we know, and that it might be a really niche item to try and find down the road. So right now it's easy. You call them up and they'll ship it to you. It took like 2 minutes. I was just curious when I was talking to them about something else, and they're like, "Oh yeah, we have those in stock right now. You want one?" I was like, "Why? Yes, I do." And it came a couple days later, and it looks like it's really easy to install. Take out the screws, put a battery in. It's easy as that, So
cool.
Word to the wise.
And even if you don't plan on reselling it, for your own sake, you could just buy one and back it up, because there's going to be games that aren't going to get a Switch port. Like, I don't think Tokyo Mirage Sessions is going to go over, or
right.
Hey, we can hope.
Yeah. Maybe.
It's like the one game I want to play on my Wii U. Like, literally, that's it. Otherwise, I'm like, I don't really care.
The Wonderful 101, the guys are like trying to get it over, but it's like maybe yes, maybe no. I'm sure there's more that I can't think of right now, but there's going to be games that aren't going to come over naturally, so you'll have some gems.
And just trust me on this. Like, I mean, the gaming's changing a lot. Like, I mean, the market for gaming is so big, it is really hard to find time to go back and play your older systems for everybody. Mm-hmm. But you will have that urge someday. Mike plays old retro games like more than a lot of people, and maybe it's not so much for Eli and Matt, but for a lot of people, it's hard to imagine 20 years from now. But trust me, you might have this itch that you're going to be like, you know what, I really want to go back and play, like fill in the blank with whatever your favorite Wii U game was, like Mario Kart, on the Wii U with the gamepad or something like that. I don't know, or just get it out for fun at a party and play whatever your favorite game was on it. You might want to do it. So I just think it's worth doing now, because the second they announce that they're discontinuing Wii U support, that stuff will start to dry up because they'll stop manufacturing it, So right now it's easy. So There you go. PSA.
There you go. PSA for the week. Thanks for sharing. That's actually cool to hear. Because no, I don't think anyone else has really mentioned this. Okay, I thought someone said something and I couldn't hear, but I was wrong.
No.
Moving on. So the Switch Online has a bunch of NES games, and now they're trying to put some on there, but with like a weird twist. So I don't know if they did this already or if this is the first one, but they're putting a Zelda NES ROM on there, but it's a twist. It's basically beaten for you. You start off with all the equipment and a full wallet.
What? A full wallet too?
Yeah.
Okay, I thought they were just like, oh, here's easy mode, so here's all the stuff. I was like, oh, that's pretty cool, I guess.
It's called like a Life of Luxury, or Zelda NES A Life of Luxury. I'm like, oh my gosh,
That's a funny name though.
like
I saw it
that
up in there
sounds like
last
so
night.
cheap. That's like Mega Man and getting all the boss weapons, but you gotta. It's like, well, what's the point? Now I have everything and know everything.
That is so funny. I had guests over last night, and one of them had never seen the Switch before, so I actually showed them that NES feature, and I popped in there, and it was like, hey, there's new games. I'm like, wait, what? And then I see that, and I go, that's weird. They already have Zelda, and I didn't have time to look at it. That's interesting. That's all it is. It's original Zelda, just like with a save file. Like,
yeah.
much.
No. Well, yeah. I mean, that's the most basic way to say it, but I was gonna be like, no, it's like you start the game and it's like a parody of Zelda itself because you have everything, you know. But yeah,
that is weird. That's so strange. Okay, well, they at least explains it because he was like, "What is it?" And I don't know. I was like, "What? We were gonna play a game." I was like, "I'm not trying to play original Zelda right this minute," you know. Like, so,
you're like, what? You want to do Dungeon 5 first because that's the way. Yeah.
Yeah, that's interesting. How strange of Nintendo. That's a great way to milk a classic property even further. That's great.
Just an excuse to not put SNES games on there. The jerks.
Yeah, dude.
They're like, we'll just double up all the NES. Anyway,
I know, right? That's funny.
So moving on, Guacamelee 1 and 2 have been announced for Switch. So that was
Hooray.
quick. The first one is out now.
I mean,
it has.
those are great games.
Yeah,
I know they are great. I was like, that's also on my list. I was like, I think it's gonna be for free on PlayStation soon enough. So, so like, I was like, should I wait? Yeah, but I mean, Drinkbox is a great studio. It's a great game. So.
It is indeed. The first
Matt's
one.
got it for me. That's why I know.
Yeah. It only took you like 3 years to play it, but you played it.
Very
Oh
true.
my gosh. Yeah, the first one on Switch comes with all the DLC because they did some other mode, and second one comes out in December. So probably like
Nice.
I forget when it came out on PlayStation, but like probably 6 months later. So there you go.
Nice.
Would recommend.
Cool. Love that first.
Yeah, and then one other quick announcement is so Switch Cloud saves are now going to be saved 6 months after you unsubscribe. So it was there was a lot of confusion because the FAQ section didn't really specify how long they would be stored for. Some people were thinking maybe they'll store them for a week. Some support people said that, but no one actually had any information. They were just doing guesswork. And it seems like what probably happened was enough people complained because they didn't have a date that they either just extended it to 6 months or that was their date and they didn't say it. I'm betting that they just extended it to 6 months after people complained. But yeah, so if you unsubscribe, your saves will be there for half a year still.
It's great
on that front.
It's good service. Good
Yeah.
service. I like.
It's meeting with their competitors. So good for
Yep.
going there.
Yeah. No,
That's
I
all.
agree.
That's all people ask of you. Just meet the standard that other people have already set years ago.
Yeah. That's and like just to clarify for the listeners and myself, you do not have to do anything to activate the backup save feature, right? Like I subscribed.
No,
I never did anything.
no.
I just subscribed and assumed it worked, right?
Yeah,
So,
I remember reading that they'll automatically save like at some point. They don't tell you when, but they'll just will. And I remember when I signed up, I was going through like the settings or whatever on some of my games, and it would say like, "Oh, this has been backed up." I was like, "Okay." Like I didn't actually
I
press
have never
anything; it just
seen
did
that.
it.
I've never seen that. That concerns
If
me.
you
Like I've never
press
seen it
plus-
say anything
Yeah,
about
so if you go on a game and press plus, like basically how you would
Get your gold
get
coins.
your gold coins, basically, you just go down through the settings. I forget what the actual setting is. It probably says Switch Online or something on it, and it'll say like if it's been backed up or not.
Yeah,
it. And you
No,
don't have to log the game or anything. You don't have to like turn the game every
No,
game
no.
on to like
No.
they're doing it automatically. Okay,
Yeah.
right. Just making sure. Because
well, it's the same thing. Like I don't have online, but I still get all the patches. Like I still got all the Kirby patches. Like they, there's very like Nintendo doesn't, completely limit internet access.
Right.
If you want
Absolutely.
cloud save, or if you want to play the specific multiplayer games, like
Yep.
they can control.
Yeah, gotcha. Yeah, it's just unusual because it's like it was rolled out with so little fanfare, and I
Mhm.
felt like kind of like low messaging, at least for me. I didn't get a lot of information. I just signed up. I got Nintendo Netflix on there, and that was it. And the end. And it hasn't really talked to me at all since then. It's like, okay, so I forgot about it. You know what I mean? I kind of forgot I have Nintendo Online now. It was as easy as pay $20. I'm in the system. And then the one day it occurred to me about the cloud saves, and I Googled it quick, and it said like, it was just like a random page. I don't even know what source it was. It was like, no, you don't have to do anything. And I was like, okay, I like what you're saying, but I never investigated it. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? I was like,
Yeah, it
good.
should-
Well, I don't have to do anything.
yeah.
That's,
It should pop up with
All
some
right.
message after you buy it to be like,
Mhm.
here's what's going on and blah blah blah. I don't know why.
Yeah. I didn't know a lot about it. Right. Exactly. I'll probably check that out later and like do what you said, like go to the menu and go to the plus sign and look. Because I mean, the ones, what are the ones I care about? Gungeon, Zelda, Isaac, Splatoon.
Mhm.
Like I can't think of like what other games I'm going to care a ton about the save data being permanent. I guess Skyrim at this point, but I'm only mildly into Skyrim, so it's like kind of like whatever. But
Or
yeah,
you can just get a
those-
physical copy, man.
Well, I have a physical copy of Skyrim, but the save file is still on the Switch, so it's got to get backed up. Got to get that stuff backed up. So
You'll have to check if it's supported because like some games do and don't, and I don't know how it works with games that were released before they had cloud saves in. So
yeah,
I
just
don't know
make
how
sure.
it works.
Well, I heard also, even if I have the physical game, like most saves aren't even tied to that anyway. I heard they're
No,
just tied to your actual Switch.
Yeah, they're not.
Yeah,
They're not tied to the cartridge. Definitely not. Like they're definitely on the system. So I'm assuming, Matt, to your point, it definitely is all the same. Because if it wasn't, we'd be hearing about it. That's my only logic. It's kind of bad logic, but like if there were certain games that aren't backing up correctly, we'd be hearing about it by now. That it'd be like, oh, Bethesda says they're going to release a patch so that their saves work with the online service or whatever. You know what I mean? Something like that. And it's not happening. And I've heard nothing about this issue. It's like, okay, I guess the saves are working. And I guess the only way you find out is if you brick your system or get it stolen or something, and you have to get your saves back, like from the cloud or whatever. So
I'm sure Skyrim is safe because I'm sure like they're a big enough company to realize, yes, we're gonna back it up.
No.
But
No.
I
We're
don't
gonna
know.
learn. We're gonna learn when we get our Switch Lite. All right. So
No.
that's what I'm saying.
we'll see.
Our Switch
Switch
Vita.
I'm
Our
yeah, I
Switch
don't know.
DS. all
That's a
right?
fair enough point. That if it was a big enough issue, that people would have brought it forth.
You'd be hearing about it like
Yeah.
bubble across the internet. Like somebody had my Switch stolen, and all 100 hours of whatever my favorite stupid ass game is my Kirby Star Allies like save file was wiped. I spent 8 hours 100%ing that game. It was like,
I spent the whole 8 hours not even simultaneously. It went by so fast that I forgot I just bought this game.
I spent 8 hours pressing right and up, and and now I lost all.
You can't just hit right and up when boss battle mode. Or what about the tree chopping mini game that you have to also get to for 100%? There's the tree chop game, and then there's the baseball meteor game. That's how you get an extra 1% on each of the things. You have to score and finish.
I like that I triggered Mike with mention of Kirby Star Allies. You're like, dude, you don't just press right and up.
Yeah, you gotta press A on 2 different mini games if you want 100%. All right, you'll be stuck at 98% at that rate.
This reminds me of SpongeBob with Patrick, and he's like sitting on his fat ass and like watching TV, and SpongeBob's like, "This is your work." He's like, You don't understand. Sometimes my butt gets itchy, and sometimes I gotta change the channel.
Tough stuff.
Yeah, I
Hard-
mean, you know, when he's working hard, all right.
Hard gamer life.
He's gotta laugh at those 2 coconuts.
Dude, that's all I ever laugh at.
Oh man.
Oh Lord, that was good.
But speaking of something Mike brought up, so there's a rumor that I think is probably credible because it comes from the Wall Street Journal that the Switch is going to get a second or another model in the second half of 2019. Which, as I said, it's from the Wall Street Journal. So as far as I'm concerned,
And how does that make you feel?
I love it.
I don't know. It's probably just
I
going
don't
to
know,
be
I
like.
definitely felt a lot of people were pissed off because, like, I mean, I'm kind of irritated. Like, I just bought this thing.
It's been 2 years
Yeah.
apparently, from what I've heard.
Well, I guess by that time, yeah. But still, it's like I spent $300 on this machine. That's my little baby that I carry around, and oh, now you need another $300 for me?
Yeah, right.
No.
I don't know. It's
not
probably
this-
just going to be like minor revisions.
Yeah, and
But
plus
they
you'll
do
be able
that.
to.
I guess it might be like the 3DS, the new 3DS. Which in that case, it's like I don't know why I bought a new 3DS.
Yeah, or even just the XL. It's just I can't expect that it's going to add that much.
I'm just gonna expect it's gonna be just better battery life kind of thing. Like it's not gonna be like, oh, we have better games for it, like et cetera, et cetera. It's gonna be like,
Yeah, I can't even see like 1080p because some of the games don't even run at full 720 on the handheld. So why would they go even higher? I don't even know what they could do. Better battery life, maybe resolution, but
Well,
then that negates the battery
You could have
life.
4K. You could have like 4K output, theoretically, like upscale.
I mean, yeah, like they could like Vita OLED it, but that's about it. You know, like that's
So
all I
you-
could think of.
You guys are because Matt didn't really chime in, but it sounds like you got Eli sounds like you're not thrilled. Is that, am I reading you right? Or
Yeah,
you're just,
I mean, honestly, like, because I'm a freaking chump, I'm gonna end up buying it. But
That's the only reason why you hate it. You're like, well, now I gotta buy it.
yeah, like,
I mean, same, but I mean, I've already accepted my fate as a Nintendo person.
I need my amiibo money, but like,
yeah.
you know,
I'd be down with a new revision if it gave a bigger screen. I actually wish my Switch was bigger, and I know that sounds crazy. It's already the size of a reasonable tablet, and I'm like, hey, bigger Joy-Cons, bigger console. Like, carrying it around is going to get unwieldy if it goes way bigger, but I wouldn't ever expect that. But I don't know. I mean, well, first of all, I mean, you don't have to buy it. But the second thing is, I'm sure you guys treat your Switches like carefully and are in good condition, right? I mean, you all have screen protectors on and stuff, I'm sure. Like, you can sell it. You can totally, once you do your upgrade, you can just sell it like I did with all my 3DSs and stuff like that. Like, you'd flip it, Like,
I can't. I'm too pure. Like, man, I can't sell anything Nintendo. Like,
yeah.
unless it's like,
Yeah.
Kirby Star
Yeah,
Allies. Yeah, like complete trash, like Xenoblade. I actually can't sell Kirby Star Allies. It's just I can't do first party stuff, and I can't sell hardware. I just can't do it. What I do.
I know what you mean, like, because I certainly am sitting here surrounded by my childhood of Nintendo, like, completely for real. But, like, with these modern consoles, with these constant revisions, I think I have a little bit less, like, nostalgia to the system itself. Like, trust me, I don't want to. If I was rich, I'd keep it. But, like, if they come out with a revision next year and there's a reason I want it, I'll be damned if I'm going to, like, spend $300 and not, like, go on eBay and sell my existing Switch for, like, $200 and only pay $100 for the new one. I'm gonna do that. Like, I'm telling myself right now, I'm gonna do it. I'm not gonna sit here and hold on to a system that I'm gonna wipe when I do the system upgrade, and swap my files over to the new system. Like, why would I? I can't think of a reason to keep it. Like, it's like, I mean, the shame about it is, maybe it's better put another way. Maybe I have more nostalgia for the older systems because they have a little bit, like, more bizarre personality, and Nintendo is moving more and more closer to being like a black box that sits on your, like, kind of under your TV, just like a PlayStation or an Xbox. Like, sure, Switch is really different, but it's just black plastic too, to me, a little bit. I can admit that to myself a little bit, that I'm like, well,
Well, yeah, you know what? My Switch is not it's not a special edition. Usually I have, like, the special edition stuff, so I'm just like, I can't get into that.
Yeah. Like, I mean, because I wish I had the Smash Bros. Edition one that's coming out.
My younger brother got that one. Then it would be like, oh, it'd be hard to sell it because you have the Smash Bros. One. But that's just the dock and the Joy-Con. You know what I mean? It's not
Yeah,
the hard
and those you can buy
plate of
separately.
it. Yeah,
Right.
the hard plate
Right.
is not customized. Like the
Right.
Pikachu 3DS I had was worth like $300 for no reason.
Yeah.
But
Right,
like,
'cause-
yeah, but that's
Yeah.
the actual like, what do you call it? What's the word I'm
Yeah.
looking for?
yeah,
Like yeah, dude. The Switch stuff they don't. That's the one thing that's pretty disappointing about it. It's you know.
I mean, like they're starting to do it now. I mean, they're coming out with the bundles and the limited editions now. But I mean, let's remember, for the first like 6 months of the system's life, it was hard to get.
Oh yeah.
You know, the last thing we were worried about was like special editions. It was like any editions, like
Mhm.
make them and get them in stores, you know. And now it's like now they're getting around. We're doing the Smash Bros. Edition. We're doing the special bundles with like Fortnite. We're doing exactly what we should be doing. And if they're gonna revise it, like I don't know. Like I've read that stuff too, and I'm like, well, what? Like you guys said, like what would you want out of it? Like I don't know. Like bigger Joy Cons. Like Mike was saying earlier.
Sure.
Like
And even-
he's like
Yeah.
playing with his buddies and it doesn't fit your hands. Yeah, I know that problem. Like my wife and me try to play Tetris on it, and even she's like, "Yo, this is tiny," and she's got tiny hands.
I mean, it's
You know?
tiny, but like I think like as a it sounds pretty lame saying it, but like as a gamer, it's more adaptable than to someone like your wife or like Jimbo down the block trying to play with you. You know,
Well,
Yeah,
even-
Jimbo, he's a good gamer.
If Jimbo's a gamer, then he'll be like, okay, it's kind of small, but he won't. That's the thing. Like I said, like Joey was like, oh, it's kind of small, I don't like it, but I mean, he still plays with it, and he's not like complaining about it. It's like, granted, of course, like a bigger Joy-Con, or let's get a Switch XL with two more hours, no OLED, so 2 more hours and bigger Joy-Con. That maybe that would help everybody out. Like like that would be not a bad upgrade. So
Yeah.
who
Mike,
knows?
Mike Matei, the AVGN sidekick, was tweeting about an issue I wasn't aware of. He was complaining recently about something I didn't know the system had a problem with, and then kind of the responses were almost like shutting him down, being like, "What are you complaining about?" But he was saying he was lightly miffed by the fact that like if the system goes completely dead, you can't plug straight into the wall and keep playing. He was saying you have to let it charge up a little bit before the system will work again. And I've
Really?
never had that happen, so I didn't know that. And that could be something they could revise. Like,
I mean, I've been at 1% a few times, but
yeah,
I've never, I would just plug it in immediately after. So like,
yeah,
can't
just dock
really,
it.
yeah.
I was just, and that's what people were saying, like in that tweet thread. Not to report on Twitter too much, but like that was what people were saying. Like, you do know you could just dock it, right? You know what I mean? It's just like what are you complaining about? And he's saying, well, I'm playing like a handheld and I want to keep gaming, but it's dead. And then people were saying, yeah, but phones are just like that too. Like, what are you mad
But
about?
no,
you know?
I mean,
the
you can
biggest
plug in
problem it
the-
has.
You
You
if
go,
you get
man,
like
you
a
go.
pro controller, or if you just buy one, you can get a USB-C and then plug in like the Apple like whatever outlet extender thing on it and plug it in if you want
Mhm.
to. I mean, obviously people don't
Right.
have all these devices, but I'm sure most people have some devices and cables they can scrounge around with, or just buy them because they're cheap enough.
Well, okay,
Yeah,
the
like, you
biggest
can
problem
get
I
around it,
have
but
with it.
I don't think that's that big of a deal that you gotta wait like a minute or two.
Exactly. It's like, what are you talking about? Like, plug it in.
Like, okay,
Like,
if
then
there's
just
another
charge
thing
it-
they're gonna switch,
stick it in
it's
earlier.
the thing on the bottom. It's the charge port on the bottom. It's the worst spot ever. Like my like, let's say your thing's dead, but you want to play on not handheld mode, but let's call it kickstand mode. I don't really know what to call
Oh
it.
yeah.
Like
Okay.
that, yeah.
You can't put it on the table and charge it, man. Like
Yeah.
you
You gotta buy it.
legitimately.
Yes.
You can buy a stand
Yes.
with like a hole in the bottom.
Yeah, but
like
like
20
that's
bucks,
not
but
where
yeah.
it should be. Like
Yeah.
I want to,
That's
play my
a
damn
really
thing.
good
Like,
point.
that's the
that's-
problem I have.
I'm sure they could
That's a
fix
point,
those in
dude.
revisions.
I've noticed that on planes. I've noticed that on the plane several times. Like, that kickstand is freaking useless because I'm on a plane, and exactly like you said, I want to plug it in. Like, a lot of modern planes are starting to have like charging ports in the plane in the seat for you, which
Uh-huh.
isn't every airline yet, but many do. And you can't do that. It's crazy. You're just like, I can't even set it up because it needs to be plugged. Yeah, I've noticed that exact issue too. And I'm like, well, it's because of the dock. It's the way they laid out the dock. And what are they supposed to do? Have the dock be on the side? I don't know. Like
Maybe what they could do
What they could
with the new
do.
model is have 2 kickstands and there's like a piece connected in between it. So
Yeah.
like a bar in between it. So when you pull it out, it can actually
Ah.
like stand up versus like being pushed over slightly.
I like it.
Because the
I like it.
one leg is not going to do anything, and 2 might be
that
good, but they could be like
sucks.
flimsy. It depends on like
kickstand
how
sucks
much.
anyway.
Yeah, it does. It all depends on like if it would take away any space that they need, or if they would have to make it a bit thicker. Just to add the
Yeah.
plastic, but
Yeah.
those are like
Yeah,
little
that's-
quality of life things they could fix. But I can't really think of
that's-
like major improvements. Like you gotta buy it now because I don't know, battery. Which even that they like sort of fixed with like things you can plug into your Joy-Cons that add like a grip to it.
Mhm.
I don't know if they would be
Mhm.
comfortable, but and even with
And
like,
everyone has cell phone chargers anyway, like cell phone
Yeah.
battery chargers. Like, so it's like you're kind of like, it's not the end of the world. It's
Yeah.
it's easy to bitch about it, but
Yeah.
it,
And even-
it works fine.
even for bigger Joy-Cons, they could still keep the same like form factor of the Switch and just make the Joy-Cons like wider, and then the buttons and everything else could be like bigger as a result of it. So
The
it
main
would still
problem-
work with like the older docks and like
Mhm.
all that, because I'm sure they would
The main
want to try to avoid like screwing all that up, but who knows?
I agree. Like, yeah, you're right, because they can't do that, because then all these Joy-Cons that aren't going to fit with the new system, that's going to be a huge problem. Absolutely, they can't do. The
Then
main
again, they do it
problem
with
really,
the 3DS. They're like, look, we got like 4 different versions of this thing. We don't care which one if they
That's
don't
fair.
interwork. So I don't know if they'll do that. But
I-
anyway, you were
it just-
saying.
I just wish there was a way to move that one joystick in a better position, because when that's the only thing, I don't really care about the size, but I forget whether it's left or right. I guess
It's
So
the
right
right
one.
one with the in the middle joystick.
Yeah, it sucks. Like, you can't use that controller. Like, it's like it's hard. You have to like hold it really weird. And I know what you're saying, Mike, about Jimbo having to adapt. Like, I've tried.
But it is weird. I mean, if you don't like it, like I would say, like I'm with you 90% of the time. Like
Yeah.
trust me, man. But like I played on the right Joy-Con. I tried to be a good neighborino, and
Yeah.
9 out of 10 times I'm looking at you with a sideways face if I'm playing with the
Yeah.
right Joy-Con.
Yeah, that's
So
They, yeah,
I felt bad. Like, every time I've tried to use it, it just feels bad. I'm like, this doesn't work quite right, but whatever.
they need like this probably wouldn't work well. They need like a dual pack of Joy-Con where the left one has an actual D-pad and the right one has like, I don't know, maybe the stick at the top. So then if you wanted like that, I guess the Wii U style where you have both the joysticks at the top, and
Mhm.
it would kind of work like the left one, so that the joystick isn't in the middle, but you wouldn't really be able to access the shoulder buttons because they'd be on the bottom. But
Yeah.
I don't know. That's the interesting thing about this. They can just release different Joy-Con to fix the problems rather than having to like make you buy a whole new system to fix it. Like, even
More
if you
memory.
want to sell it like third party, you could be like, hey, if this guy's getting a bundle with some Joy-Cons attached, I can just sell my Switch itself
Yeah.
for like a cheaper price and then just buy the new like
Yeah.
console without the controllers. Very weird.
Maybe more memory would be something that they could address. Like,
Mhm.
that wouldn't be terrible, to like get a little bit more out of the onboard hardware, like in terms of memory. Like,
But memory cards are really cheap. I mean, well, yeah,
Yeah.
that means they could make that obviously way less, but
they are, but I mean, because like a lot of games are really pushing it that come out, and if you download it, like, it's just like, I get it. It's a great way to keep the system cheaper, and at the same time, I'm like, this is ridiculous when games are coming out and pushing the 20 gig limit,
Mhm.
like, and you're supposed to download this game on a system that cannot handle that file size without deleting a bunch of crap. It's like, it's not, again, first world problems, but it is something I wouldn't cry about. I'd be like, all right, that's great. I'm a great example. I'm looking at, I want to play Resident Evil Revelations 2, and I think it was one of you guys turned me on to the idea that file size is insanely big for that game for whatever reason. It's like a 20 gig download, or I don't even know, something really big. And it's like, I was like, wait, are you kidding me? So it's like, then I have to go to the lengths to like either find a copy of just 2 by itself, which is kind of hard because it was like a download slip that came with a physical copy of 1. or buy the whole package, which I don't need. I just need the second game. It's like I'm jumping through hoops, and that's kind of a rare example because it's that weird situation where that game was bundled together or whatever. But that file size, is just a deal breaker for me. I'm not downloading it. Like I'm just not. I'm not gonna eat up all my memory on the hardware just for that one game. So
especially if it's supposed to be like a better version of the console, that should be like a basic thing they toss in. It's like it's going to cost you like nothing, just double it.
Definitely, that's a great point. It's the easiest upgrade. Like it's like, and it's got a bigger hard drive, or whatever, but more memory, or whatever. Like it's, that's you're right.
It's easier than a battery, because a battery you have to like make it bigger and then not increase the size.
Yeah, it is literally like level 1 thing you do when you upgrade a system. It's like, unless they're trying to do a mini. If they go the other direction, go a mini, like you can count me out right away. I'm not interested at all in going down. Like I'm only interested in going up. Like for me, it would be a non-issue if they announce like, oh, it's a cheaper version and some of the features are cut. I'm like, well, you can keep your Wii Mini and you can keep your revised model of the Switch too, because I don't care. Like I want it better. You lose me the second you tell me it's worse. Like for sure. Like I'm like, well, that's fine if the $100 makes a difference to someone else, great. I don't know. Your market research tells you more than I know about it. Like I don't know. Is that really what people need? A revised, cheaper version. Cool.
It would probably be a way to get the kids to move over from this 3DS. Like, ooh, it's smaller, and like, I mean, wouldn't be able to fit in your pocket or anything. But if the controllers were like welded or whatever you want to call it to the Switch, and it's the screen's smaller so they can carry it more easily. That might.
I don't think they'll.
I don't know.
I don't. I
don't see them like shrinking it down anyway. Like just because the controllers are small enough as it is.
Yeah.
And there's no way you can shrink this screen without shrinking the controllers, since it goes literally to the edges of the controller itself. So I think it's the size it's going to be, and it might get bigger, but probably won't. Because that's the whole point of docking it into the TV in the first place.
I wish it would. Though. That would be I would love it. That would be the day. That's the opposite side of the coin for me. If you tell me it's like, an inch and a half bigger, like, which is like the most we can ask for, like really, like I'd love it. Cause like it already looks so good, like on a small screen, that like, I never thought I'd spend this much time playing portable once I had the option to dock and undock, and I still do play it portable like a lot of y'all, that I'm like, oh, this is like for indie games, it's fine. It's completely perfect. Like, I'm like, oh, for a game with like not ridiculous AAA graphics, it's perfectly fine, like to play on a smaller screen, because it just looks so good, and like just a little bit more real estate, it would only make me happier, but I don't know. We'll see. I don't really care. I love my Switch regardless. Like if they don't revise it at all, I won't give a crap. It's like, all right, let's keep up the good work, kind of thing.
Yeah. All right, and I guess one last thing we'll try to get out quickly. The NES Classic, I think, is pretty much confirmed. They showed off or someone on Reddit showed off some pictures. I put a link in the chat that looks pretty convincing to me. The part where there's supposed to be like the regular N64
the N64,
yeah. They use the classic ports.
Any rumor on what the games are?
No, just the images.
I'd buy it just to play Ocarina again. I haven't played it in a few years, and I feel like I've gotta.
Nice. Yeah. I would get it if they put all 3 Mario parties in it.
They gotta put at least one of them, and it's probably gonna be 2.
No. 2's trash.
No, 2's two. How's it trash? It's like half of the game.
2
is
overrated, dude. It's so overrated.
You're overrated. It's like half the mini games are from
so
the first.
Bad. When people talk about like, oh, it had the theme and it had 7 Mario parties and 1 mini games. You know what it had? It had garbage. That's what it had. All right. 1 and 3
You're
are better
garbage.
than 2. All right. The only thing 2 had was that one funny joke JonTron did with it. All right.
I don't even remember. I don't think the themes make it better or worse. I think both of them do well, but they would probably choose 2 just because it wouldn't have the first one. If people don't know, had a bunch of mini games, or some at least, where you would have to rotate the joystick a lot, and how people did that was in instinctively use their palm, and a lot of people got blisters, and Nintendo had to like send people gloves because they got hurt by it. And they
Yeah,
realized,
and those good old
let's
power
not
gloves,
have
man.
that happen again. We're gonna take all of those games out now.
Just change them into
So-
a four-button,
It would-
roundabout way. That's
Yeah,
it.
that doesn't really work.
Yeah, I
but-
mean it does,
I mean,
but they did
it
that
would-
they did that for the Mario Party Online.
Oh shit!
It would
It's getting hot.
probably
Not Mario
be
Party
fine.
Online, for Mario Party Top 100. They did
Ah.
that for one of the games.
The games would probably be fine again because they're not. I would say they're not going to use the same joystick. They're probably going to use the GameCube one. I don't know if people have seen. There's N64 controllers for like your computer or whatever, where they replace the joystick with the GameCube one because it's not going to get all crusty and gross and painful. And the N64 controller, if you use the joysticks enough, would get really loose, and sometimes loose enough that it will drag itself in a direction that you're not even holding in. But the GameCube doesn't have that problem just because it's not on a little stick. So they could probably bring those Mario Party 1 back, but they probably won't. Well, I'm
Yeah.
not even sure if it was on the Virtual Console.
It wasn't.
Oh,
It was,
okay.
that was Dose Life.
I guess there wasn't. They had the nunchucks, so they could have. But yeah, whatever. But yeah. So, oh, you were gonna say something, Uno?
I had thought earlier though. Only thing I'd comment is that like y'all better just like you guys that grew up heavily influenced by N64. I can tell from all our conversations over the years. Just if you haven't plugged your N64 in a while, like I've said it before on the show, say it again. Kind of steel your hearts to be a little disappointed when you see the questionable resolution of those graphics. Like,
Dude, my N64 is still plugged in. I play that shit like every Sunday on my daughters, man. You're talking to the wrong feller.
You're the one guy. Like, I mean, like what I would be more concerned about, Mike, that you won't have seen is that I assume you're playing it on a CRT, on a classic old fat
Of
TV.
course. No, I do have a very shitty. Remember LCD used to be in, so but yeah, I do mainly play on a CRT.
So that's the irony. It looks better on those TVs than it does when you upscale it to a modern flat screen, and that is what I would be the absolute 100% most curious to see what solutions they are going to lend to an N64 like Mini, because. Like if you're familiar with emulators or anything like that, a lot of times they have like kind of options of how you display it. A lot of them like they'll allow you to put the scan lines on and stuff like that. Like give it.
Oh yeah, like 4:3 or 16:9 kind of thing.
And they'll like give you different options so you can like kind of like, because people have very strong preferences about how those kind of things look, and N64 is tough. It is tough, like to make it look right, and even if you put on those artificial scan lines or something like that, you might be in for a surprise that you're not ready for, is all I can say. Like, you might be like, oh, wow, like this game looks like my butt. Like, and I'm not talking about when my butt used to look good and was like nice and fit. I'm talking about my modern butt that's been eating pizza and drinking Mountain Dew for like the last 7 years. Like, excuse me, did you sit in cottage cheese? No, that's your ass. Like, come on. Like, it's, yeah. So like, I don't know, like, cause it's like, I constantly have been playing my N64 in the last couple months, like with my upscaling technology and all that stuff. And like every single time I turn it on, I have that reaction of like, do I have the settings wrong? Do I have the settings wrong? And I'll mess with, and I'm like, nope, this is optimal. Like, this is how this game looks, like, and then you get used to it after a few minutes and you're cool. We were playing Smash Brothers, 64 just the other night, me and my friend, and we actually reduced the screen size down to a much smaller like setting so that it would look better, because when it's squashed into a tighter box, it actually looks better, since you're not trying to stretch it abnormally into like a modern giant TV or whatever. So that'll be a factor that people are going to encounter. That's what I have been wondering if Nintendo would bother to do an N64 Classic because of this issue. That I'm like, they might worry it's not up to their standards.
I would say
Nostalgia
they'd be
will
more
sell
worried
it. It
about
doesn't matter. Like, nostalgia will sell it alone.
I would say
That's
if
fair.
they had a problem with it, would be more so that it's a lot of the games are multiplayer, and it depends on how many controllers they want to sell.
Yeah, that's a real
'Cause
big
there's-
problem.
Like, a lot of the games, it's like, you should have 4 controllers.
Mhm.
So
For
they
some of the
should pack
biggest-
it with 2,
the biggest games.
and then
Yeah.
if they sell more when they sell more controllers, they should be in packs of 2, and that's how you like get around the problem of I have to buy extra
Yeah.
controllers, because if you start with 2, then you can play any multiplayer game, and then if you want
Yeah.
more, it's in a pack of 2, so you don't have to be like, oh well, I got 3, but this person ran out of them, so now I gotta wait to get a 4th one and deal with all that garbage.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, that's a big problem because like 2 of the greatest games on the system, like Kart and GoldenEye, are,
yeah.
and then
Well,
Smash, of
GoldenEye's
course.
not gonna come, but
Mario Kart 64 is one of the worst Mario Karts anybody can play. That game is
Yeah,
so
it's
bad.
Popular.
Like
It doesn't matter.
it's so bad.
It's very
like-
popular.
It doesn't matter. That game is trash. Next to when I see that in Super Circuit, I go, "Who took a shit?" And I'm
Yeah,
like, "Oh wait,
Super
that's Mario
Circuit.
Kart 60." Yeah,
no,
that game is so bad.
Oh Lord, you're funny.
you
You kill
cannot
me.
compare that.
Yeah,
Super Circuit and Mario 64 are brethren. How terrible they are.
Not
alright?
even.
Not
They're
even close.
brethren.
Mario Kart 64 at least has 3 dimensions. It can go like up and down. Super Circuit's just like
Yes.
everything is a flat plane. If you don't
Super
get bored in
Circuit
the
is-
next 10 minutes, then
Super
your
Circuit's
mind
the
is
game where
gone.
Rob came from. I mean,
Super-
No,
Crappy
that's
version of
DS.
the original. Like
oh,
original.
yes, is Rob. Who was Super Circuit Secret? Was it Waluigi?
No one
or
knows
something?
because no one cares.
Dude, it's so bad. Like I cannot stand
Exactly.
that game.
It is bad.
That's
Everybody
why.
agrees that that's bad. It's a bad version of the original, like Mario Kart. Like it's terrible.
I think they
Mario Kart
packed it in
64. The
two.
problem with that game is everything. It's just not fun. Okay, the only thing good about it is Yoshi's Valley with when they hide who's in first, and and you could drive on the floor. Excuse me. That's about it. Everything else about it, poop.
Well, now we have our review of Mario 64 coming in 24 years late. All right.
All right.
All right, so I think we'll wrap it up there this week. The last word being poop. You can find us at Just Another Castle on every. Oh wait, that's the end of the show. Whatever. You can find me at the Mango Viking on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and whatever. And Eli, where can people find you?
Twitter at Paul Salon, on Nintendo Enthusiast as well. Matt also writes there, so
Yep.
catch both of us.
Yep, and EGLX is next weekend.
Yeah,
think-
by the way,
yeah.
Matt, you need to go on the website and print out fill out the press application form to get your pass.
Oh, okay. I have to get you to.
That's
message
good
me
tip
after
for
for
the
that.
listeners.
Yeah, so come meet us there. I don't care what it costs you.
It's not next
$1,000
weekend.
to fly.
It's
Just
in
do.
two-
Sorry, what was that?
It's not next weekend. It's in 2 weekends.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I think it was like the 25th or whatever. Was it? No. Whatever. Something like that. I'm sure you'll hear an update from us when we get closer. And Mike, where can people find you?
Hi guys, just find me at Gaming Night Live on YouTube or Troy Filibuster on Twitch. Thanks, boys.
Nice.
Nice.
And Unoclay, where can people find you?
You can check out my videos at Unoclay or what am I? Unoclay Gaming on YouTube. I have to actually look up my own accounts, like Unoclay Gaming on YouTube, and I am on Twitter as Unoclay_Switch. You can tell I have a great memory and interest in these sorts of things. But no, I have some videos. Check them out. The end.
Definitely. Cool. So wherever you're listening, you can find us at Just Another Castle on pretty much every platform on the internet. Hit us up with your questions if you're interested in being a guest at Just Another Castle or me directly at the Mango Viking. So until next time, leave luck to the heavens and leave gaming to Nintendo.